Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking at something, well, pretty unusual you sent over. It's a YouTube transcript from an investigative hypnosis session.
That's right. The title is 2207 IT Marzanna, C278P1D, HAARP, Hypnosis, Claudia Pani, Team Grifasi, Metodo Grifasi. Quite a mouthful.
It is. And our job today really is to unpack the claims made in this specific transcript. We're going deep into what this hypnotic session suggests about HAARP, its alleged goals.
And yeah, this whole network of global events and technologies it supposedly connects to.
Exactly. So we'll explore the key assertions from the transcript and, offer some perspective on what stands out.
And it's just this one source we're working with today, the transcript itself, but it's incredibly dense. What's striking is just the sheer range of claims the subject makes under hypnosis.
Okay, so let's kick off where the transcript does. It describes the hypnosis induction, getting the subject, Marzanna, to quiet her mind. And then on the count of 3, she's told to connect with HAARP, and almost straight away she gets this very specific image.
Right, this initial picture, a capital E, then an M, and these 3 fast-moving light trails on a dark background.
Yeah.
In hypnosis, initial symbols like that can be really personal. It makes you wonder, is this specific to her, or is it meant to be symbolic of HAARP itself? Sort of sets the scene, maybe.
Interesting point. And from there, it jumps right into the alleged objectives of this HAARP. The main goal, according to the subject,
is making the mental part of humans dominant, easier to manipulate.
Yes, that's the first step, apparently, towards making manipulation easier overall.
And this comes with a sense that emotions are being, suppressed, withdrawn.
Exactly.
It's a common theme, isn't it? This idea of separating thought from feeling for control. The transcript suggests that if you sideline emotions, people rely more on cognition, maybe making them more suggestible.
It does raise that question, yeah. How much do our own emotions filter things?
Then the transcript brings up past events supposedly linked to HAARP.
Right, like a war where soldiers are just puppets, completely controlled by this technique.
And there's a really disturbing bit about a coerced organ donation, a kidney.
Yeah, that was unsettling. And also a connection made to the death of an important politician.
So these memories or perceptions within the hypnotic state, they paint HAARP as this incredibly powerful tool, affecting big conflicts and individual lives.
It seems to cover both mass control and very targeted actions.
Exactly. What does that variety tell us about how the subject perceives the scope of this thing?
Good question. Then it moves into the future, near terms, specifically 2025.
Yes, the predictions.
The claim is a very important project involving politics, war, manipulation of leaders.
And it names names, or at least positions, heads of state of Ukraine and Russia.
And then the focus shifts downwards geographically towards Israel.
It definitely taps into current anxieties, doesn't it? Framing real-world conflicts within this narrative of hidden influence. You can see how that might resonate.
Looking a bit further out to 2030, the subject perceives something called robotization.
Yeah, making people into robots without will, though she says it's not seen clearly. It's a bit vague.
And then there's alleged manipulation within the church, targeting cardinals, leading to the ruin of the church, power struggles.
Right, major institutional upheaval. And interestingly, alongside this, the idea of robotics also being linked to cures for diseases.
But only for the elite.
Yeah, so you get this mix, technological control, undermining institutions, but also this carrot of advanced tech, just not for everyone. That robotization idea, it's fuzzy, loss of free will, or something more literal.
And the church angle suggests no institution is immune in this view, plus that stark social division with the medical cures.
Then the transcript goes into the effects of HAARP radio waves, specifically on the mental body.
Which the subject feels suddenly gets bigger or swollen.
Like a diluted liquid was the description, making it easier to manipulate.
Yeah.
Now, a mental body, that's not standard science, is it? More esoteric, philosophical, sometimes means the part of us that thinks. So the transcript uses this physical metaphor swelling, dilution, to suggest this mental aspect becomes weak, vulnerable to these alleged waves.
Stepping back, the subject sees this whole thing as a long-term project, a chain of connections.
And it's supposedly 2/3 complete.
That's the perception, yeah. And the current phase is just final experiments confirming it works.
That gives it a real sense of momentum, doesn't it? Like it's building towards something imminent, according to this account. Makes you wonder about the perceived endgame.
Which leads to how its goals supposedly changed. Initially, it was about communication.
Speed, methods of information transfer, that kind of thing.
But then They supposedly discovered they could use frequencies to harm the mental body, making manipulation easier.
And the narrative includes a separate group within the project focusing just on that control, subjugation, moving away from communication towards, well, mind control and isolation.
That's a big shift.
It really is. It raises questions about intent, how tech can be repurposed. And this idea of a splinter group suggests internal conflict, maybe, different factions with different aims.
Then a specific name pops up. Axel Plus.
Right, identified as the primary program name or code.
And Axel Plus is described as preparing the human mind, making it empty.
Like an abandoned nest. That's the analogy used. Ready for something else to move in.
It's a powerful image, deliberately clearing out mental space to make it receptive.
Okay, so how is this supposedly done? The technology involved?
Well, it points to everyday things. Cell phones, satellite antennas as transmitters, and subtle acoustic signals hidden in TV shows, even music at big concerts.
And the source is described as this huge data warehouse, an enormous computer. Signals go up, bounce back down, and then get transmitted locally by simpler means. Right, the idea that common tech is co-opted for hidden purposes. That's a recurring theme in these kinds of narratives. A central hub directing signals through things we use every day.
But the reflection mechanism is different. Not satellites, apparently.
No, it claims metallic microparticles in space do the reflecting.
And these are linked, supposedly, to chemtrails.
Okay. So that connects directly to the whole chemtrail debate. Moving beyond condensation trails to deliberate atmospheric seeding for technological reasons, signal reflection in this case.
The transcript then goes even further, linking HAARP to artificial weather.
Yeah, inducing violent storms as a way to spread something across the Earth or above it.
And manipulating earth and water temperatures, even causing tsunamis and volcanic eruptions.
It mentions one eruption 7 to 8 years prior, Northern Hemisphere, and predicts 3 more in the next 5 years.
Europe, Indonesia, and towards Latin America, supposedly related to expelling stuff needed for that reflective mirror.
Wow. And it flags a big fire in Canada as possibly related, calls the Australian bushfire a test.
And connects recent earthquakes near Naples, the FJ Fields, maybe Campi Flegrei, to a future Vesuvius eruption.
I mean, these are huge claims, linking the program to massive natural disasters. That's way outside conventional science. And making specific predictions, it's quite something.
And the alleged reason for all this? To create insecurity and fear.
Lowering people's mental frequencies, their defenses, making them vulnerable.
Which brings back that abandoned nest idea.
Yeah.
Defenses down, the mind is open to anything offering security.
Right, and then it introduces this really strange concept, a business involving bodies ready for entities that can't reincarnate.
Linked somehow to human-robot hybrids.
So the motive behind the disasters is psychological softening, paving the way for this metaphysical exchange. It definitely veers into speculative territory there. Consciousness, existence beyond the physical.
The subject also perceives direct changes in people, physically and mentally.
Like altered perception of reality. Changes in how fast nerve impulses travel in the brain.
Yeah, tied back to that robotization idea. And tiny implants nanotechnology, smaller than sand inhaled, or maybe...
Introduced through past medical interventions, vaccinations for false epidemics is mentioned.
Yes, and mentally, a feeling of isolation, the mental body getting too loose, like mist disappearing.
So these are the supposed individual-level mechanisms. Nanotech, potentially exploiting medical procedures, leading to this cognitive and emotional weakening, fits the theme of making people susceptible.
It also suggests visual stimuli and frequencies can cause changes and opening in the brain.
Leading to the perception of another brain or another mind.
Yeah, a single mind connected to others that are entering human bodies, part of something larger.
That introduces a kind of hive mind concept, doesn't it? A collective consciousness influencing individuals, using our own brain processes against us almost.
And when the subject focuses on this other mind, she feels intense heat and sees a scorpion.
Which gets interpreted as representing coldness, a calculating, emotionless intelligence.
Right, and this entity's DNA is described as both technological and genetic.
The scorpion symbol gives a feel for its perceived nature cold, calculating, and the tech genetic DNA blurs lines between biology and AI or artificial life.
Trying to picture these entities, the subject sees humanoids, but not quite human, transhuman.
With robotic parts, especially the head. Electrodes, connections, expressionless face.
Artificial components under the skin at the back of the head, a port at the nape, empty eyes with horizontal pupils.
But human-like skin and joints. Though internal organs aren't fully human, no digestive tract or reproductive organs perceived.
Exactly. It's a very specific hybrid image, organic and artificial mixed, designed for something other than normal human life, it seems.
And their main ability, supposedly,
To transmute, shapeshift, appear very attractive to humans.
so they can connect to our brains, read our desires, and basically become what we want to see.
That's the claim, acting as readers of our inner codes. Holographic projections are mentioned too.
Shape-shifting implies deception, manipulating perception. Reading desires suggests a deep psychological manipulation. Holograms fit with altering perceived reality.
The subject senses involvement with other programs too, but can't pin down names.
And there are protections around these programs, waves or frequencies to distract people.
Yeah, attracting or repelling attention, playing on fear and worry, to break concentration.
Difficulty naming other programs could imply compartmentalization, maybe, or shielding. And using emotions like fear as a shield, that fits the pattern.
Then it loops back to politics. Ukraine, Russia, Israel, Palestine, all framed as distractions.
And the Vatican is seen as powerful, potentially able to stop these conflicts.
But the claim is that HAARP tech, maybe different frequencies targeting the emotional body this time.
Is being used in these wars to suppress empathy, brotherhood, and amplify hatred, isolation.
Yes. And regarding the Vatican, a perception of fear among cardinals a few years back, linked to control, substitution of minds, or influence for key figures, revisiting that nest idea.
Wow. Geopolitics as distraction is one thing, but actively manipulating emotions in war zones using tech, that's a heavy claim. And the idea of infiltration, even at the Vatican.
Taking that metaphysical view again, the subject sees a network, connections to individual cells.
Like a tree with radiating lines.
Connecting individual points. And some shining elements and connections seem to switch off, vanish.
Suggesting it's alive, changing, evolving based on conditions.
And primarily etheric, not physical. A program or schema adapting, resonating with big data.
So it's described as this dynamic, non-physical system constantly processing and adapting. The big data link suggests a vast responsive network.
Finally, who's behind it all? A triangle symbol keeps appearing.
Interpreted as the Illuminati.
Described as humans, but with interferences, not 100% human. Influenced by some energy giving false power, driving greed.
And their DNA isn't fully human. 60–70% human, the rest humanoid.
Yes, and that humanoid part is tentatively linked back to the initial E symbol and the name Enki.
Okay, so it culminates by identifying a specific group, tying into Illuminati theories, and the non-human DNA, the Enki link, that pulls in themes from alternative history, ancient aliens maybe, suggesting influences beyond the conventional.
Well, that transcript certainly covers a lot of ground, doesn't it? Quite an intense journey.
It absolutely does. We've really just scratched the surface of the claims made in that single hypnotic session about HAARP and this vast web it supposedly connects to.
And just to reiterate, we've focused entirely on the content of this transcript. It's one perspective presented through this specific method of, well, purported investigative hypnosis.
Right. It's crucial for listeners to approach this critically, think it through for themselves.
Definitely. We encourage you to mull over these claims, maybe do your own reading if you're interested, and just reflect on, well, on influence, technology, and the unseen forces that might be at play.
It leaves you with a big question, doesn't it? What if the reality we perceive is being shaped subtly, or maybe not so subtly, in ways we just don't fully grasp? Something to ponder.